Namaste, yogis. I hope this video finds you well. I thought as many of us continue to stay home during this pandemic, and actually it's getting really hot now, so maybe you can't go outside as much too, that I would keep making some videos as I can. So hopefully this will help you in your home practice as you have to stay indoors in the cool. So if you have your props, make sure that they are handy. And with that, let's begin. So sitting in a nice, comfortable seated position. Closing our eyes if that's comfortable for you, and letting the hands rest wherever feels good and relaxing to you, whether palms up or down or in your lap. Just getting here. Chin parallel with the ground, shoulders relaxed, spine nice and straight as you are able. And starting to slow down and noticing your breath, sounds in the room, your heartbeat, going within. Maybe a couple deep inhales and exhales, allowing the exhale to go through an open mouth, really letting go. And while we're here in this quiet space, let's create our intention for our practice today. So it could be something you've been working on for the past 3 or 4 months. Maybe something brand new, something for you, for a loved one, your community. Just let the universe know. And once you've repeated that to yourself 3 times, then just letting it go. Always returning to the breath. And to officially start our practice, let's join together in one opening Om, bringing hands to heart center. Or you can just listen, taking a great inhale. Your eyes have been closed this whole time, just gently blinking them open, maybe looking down the nose. And we'll start introducing some small movements to warm up. So let's warm up those shoulders, maybe just gently rolling them back a few times, squeezing them up to the ears, and then reversing the motion, bringing them forward. And when they feel nice and loose, bringing hands to the knees, we'll go into some Sufi grinds. So bringing the chest forward and to the right and then back. Moving around in a small circle, a big circle, or maybe getting bigger as you keep moving. As fast or as slow as feels good for you. Trying to time the movement with the breath, inhaling back, exhaling forward. Couple more times. And the next time that you get to a center point, sitting nice and still, maybe feeling that prana still swirling around you, and then we'll go the opposite direction. So for me, that's to the left. And once again, tuning into the breath, listening with your whole body. And always taking care to listen to what your body is telling you when you're in the poses. If something doesn't feel right, of course, backing off, modifying with your blocks, your strap, or just a totally different pose. Let's go one more time. Sitting up nice and tall, once again, absorbing that energy, prana that you've created. And then we'll come onto hands and knees. Going through some cat-cows. So making sure that the hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath hips. And as we inhale, letting that belly sink nice and low. Exhaling, rounding the back. And just flowing through these movements, once again, as fast or as slow as your breath allows you to do in this moment. What feels good right now? Do you need to take it a little bit slower? Do you need to pump it up a little bit? Have you been lying around all day? Or have you been busy working, doing lots of stuff on your house or at your job or whatever it is? A couple more times. And once you've completed your last exhale, inhaling, coming to a nice neutral position, we'll take the sunbird pose, and this is a little balancing pose, but there are tons of modifications for this. So the first option is just reaching your left foot back, kind of reaching through with the ball of the foot, nice straight leg. You could stay here, trying to keep those hips even. Or if you want to bring a little bit more balance into it, you stretch that right arm forward. Just staying here. Maybe breathing here 3 breaths. Or if you want to take it a little bit further, squeezing in 3 times. So whatever option you chose, keep breathing. Just a couple more. Maybe just one more. Reaching out, nice and even, and coming back. Breathing here, getting centered, nice alignment. And then we'll do the opposite side. So maybe you're just reaching that right leg back, keeping it nice and straight. Maybe you want to bring that left arm forward. Maybe you're staying here, or maybe a little bit of ab work and balance at the same time. Just a little bit, just warming up. Stretching out, one more breath. And coming back onto all fours. And then we will press into downward facing dog. So bringing the hips up to the ceiling. Spreading fingertips wide. Nice straight arms. Ears between the biceps, gazing towards the thighs or the belly. Maybe pedaling out the feet. If those heels don't quite reach, that's fine. Just keep those hips up towards the sky. You could even keep knees bent. Your practice, your modifications as you warm up. The heels may get closer to the mat, they may not. Whatever your body needs, as long as you're in alignment, that's all that matters. Take one more breath here. And then let's look to the top of the mat. Let's just step forward, coming up to a half lift. And then let's fold in, first forward fold. So maybe those knees are a little bent. Maybe bring those blocks up. Back a little bit. And just let the head hang, maybe opposite fingertips, opposite elbow, gazing through the knees. One more deep breath. And then let's rise on up, sweeping up overhead. Fingertips touch and bringing hands through the heart. Getting here into Tadasana. Shoulders back and relaxed. Palms facing outward. Have every part of the foot making contact with the earth. And we'll start with some Surya Namaskar. So Surya Namaskar A, reaching up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Folding forward, Uttanasana. Looking up to a flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Coming down, stepping or jumping back into your high plank. You can either come through knees, chest, and chin, or maybe you want to do your chaturanga, coming slightly forward, and then up into your upward facing dog. In your upward facing dog, remember, don't straighten those arms out all the way. Keep a little bend in the elbows for safety, and look straight ahead or just slightly up. Don't want to hurt that neck. Rolling over the toes into your downward facing dog. Breathing here, 3 nice breaths. Looking up to the top of the mat, jumping or stepping forward, looking up to a flat back, and then folding in. Let's reach up overhead, keep it moving. Surya Namaskara B. Once we get into our Tadasana, we'll move right into our Utkatasana, our chair pose. So reaching those arms up, ears between the bicep, sitting back like you're about to sit in that chair. Tucking tailbone. Then we reach up into Tadasana and then folding forward. Looking up to a flat back. Jumping or stepping back. Flowing through, whichever method you choose, into your downward facing dog. Reaching up with the right leg to come into your warrior one. Moving through rather quickly because we're just getting the body warm. Back through your Chaturanga Dandasana, or knees, chest, and chin. Upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Left leg to the sky. Coming through your warrior one. Back we go. Getting nice and warm. Into your downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths. Looking to the top of the mat, jumping or stepping forward, folding in. Let's come up through that Utkatasana, and we'll stay here for a little extra. If you'd like, maybe coming up onto your tiptoes. Keep sitting back, tucking tailbone. 1 more breath. Reaching up, hands through the heart. Getting here. We're going to start in our flow of standing poses with one that we were just in, so it should feel pretty familiar. Stepping back with our right foot for warrior one. We were here just for a moment in our Surya Namaskar B, so now we get to refine a little bit. Nice bend in that left knee. Shoulders relaxed, arms straight. That right leg behind you, straight. Breathing. Preparing for our humble warrior. Let's gather the hands behind the back, opening up the chest and folding forward. Maybe you just come above the knee and you stay here. That's where you're going. Maybe you can nestle your shoulder next to your knee. Maybe you can let that head hang and those hands come forward. Lots of different places to be in this pose. Wherever you can get. Just breathe there and see if you can melt any further into the pose. One more deep breath. Coming back up through our warrior one. Now we're going to change the position of the hips. So we're going to open them up, maybe heel toeing that right foot back a little bit as we straighten the left leg. So now we'll come into our five-pointed posture like a star, reaching into our triangle pose, Trikonasana, coming over that left leg, making any minor adjustments. Maybe if your foot's a little out of whack, bringing it up or more in line with that front foot. So you want the left heel to be kind of in line with the arch of that right foot. Maybe you feel like you're cheating a little bit, coming up a little on that left hand, maybe works up the shin a little bit. Reaching the right hand up to the ceiling. And the full expression of the pose, you would also be looking towards the ceiling. But for stability, if you'd like to look down, that's fine. One more breath. And from here, we're going to open up into our half moon. Now we're already almost in the pose. Maybe you want to grab your block. Put it up in the upper left-hand corner of your mat and floating up into your half moon. So we're stacking that right hip on top of the left. Oops, see, it's the balance. I'm falling. Maybe looking towards the ground for stability. You could also use a wall to help you to really open up those hips and maybe even feel around for that right hip bone and feel it stacking on top of the left. You could use that wall so both buttocks would be up against the wall in the full pose. One more breath. Coming back down. Back into that five-pointed posture just for a breath, and then let's flow through a vinyasa. Or you can just go right into your downward facing dog, or child's pose is always an option. Breathing here. I'm going to switch around just so you can easily see me. Keep breathing in that downward facing dog. And then I'll meet everybody in Tadasana, so jumping or stepping forward, folding in, and then coming to the top of the mat. So we'll be stepping back with the left foot this time for our warrior one. Warrior one, settling in. Shoulders relaxed. Nice bend in the right knee. Proud warrior. Building strength in the legs, lower half of our body in general. Arms nice and straight, fingertips just radiating with energy towards the ceiling. One more breath. Interlacing the hands behind the back. Try to do it the opposite way. That's always so hard for me, right? I think I'm still not doing it right. It should feel a little funny. And then folding forward into our humble warrior. Wherever you can get to. Breathing. On your next inhale, Rising up, strong legs, strong belly through your warrior one, and then straightening that leg, changing the position of the back foot, opening up a little bit. Now the side of the foot's parallel with the back of the mat. 5-pointed posture like a star, reaching forward, coming into your triangle pose, Trikonasana. Try not to hyperextend this right knee, maybe keeping a little bend in it. Whatever your body does. I know I'm prone to hyperextending. And breathing. Once again, you can look towards the earth for stability. One more breath. Give it all you've got. And then strong belly, or where we go? Oh no, we're going into our half moon, that's right. So we're already kind of in position, maybe heel toe that back foot, grab onto that block for a little, bringing the earth up to you, and let that left leg just float up into the sky. Right or left arm also floats up, fingertips pointing towards the ceiling. Flex that foot, stack that hip. If balance is an issue, looking to the ground, then maybe trying again. Keep playing with it, maybe go up against that wall. Both buttocks would be up against the wall. One more breath. Releasing down, coming into our 5-pointed posture just for a beat. And then taking your vinyasa or downward facing dog. I'm just going to go right into downward facing dog. Stretching it out. If your heart rate is up, if you're feeling sweaty, take a moment to just breathe. Go within. One more deep breath. All right. So, in this downward facing dog, let's reach the right foot up to the sky, stepping forward, coming into our side angle. You could come into your easy angle, resting the forearm on the thigh and reaching that left arm overhead, fingers pointing towards the wall in front of you. If you're feeling open today, you can come into the extended side angle. You can keep the arm in that same position, or it can reach up to the sky. Just try to make sure that you're staying open and you're not crunching inward. So if you're not really quite warmed up, maybe staying in the easy angle. Now while we're working in the easy angle, you could try for a bind, maybe reaching that left arm around and bringing the right hand under and try to hold hands with yourself. If that doesn't seem possible, you can always use that strap. You can use as much strap as you need to make the bind happen. So work on that bind. That's the next step. Like I said, always offering modifications. If that's easy for you, maybe stepping that left hand up left foot up while you keep that bind and going into the bird of paradise. So in bird of paradise, I have that right leg within my bind and then opening up, standing nice and tall, trying to look to the camera. It's throwing off my balance, so I'm gonna look this way and breathe, whichever you chose. Keep it up. I'm gonna go back through so that I'm here and ready. Whenever you've had enough, we'll all meet in that easy angle. So playing, and then once we're all together, one breath here, and then let's change the position of that back foot. The hips are now square to the front of the room, coming into our lunge. Now, you can stay high in your lunge, You can come down on the top of that knee in your lunge. You're gonna stay here for a few breaths, so if you need to come down, come down. This is actually kind of a transition though, because we're gonna work towards our revolved lunge and then our revolved bird of paradise. So, and our bind obviously to get into our revolved bird of paradise. So if you wanna work towards that, you're probably gonna lift up, bring those hands to heart center, and then twist around, hook that elbow on that knee. Try to keep those hands at heart center as you twist. That'll really work on that deep twist. Then if you want to go into that bind, wrapping the arm around the back, see if you can hold hands. Once again, use that strap if you need a little extra. If this is where you want to stay, that's fine. Maybe you can bring that foot up and go into a revolved bird. Whee! Changing the gaze. This looks different on every body. So, no judgment. We're just playing. And whenever you are done, that's it for this, this sequence. So taking your vinyasa, going into downward facing dog, child's pose if you need. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. Actually, I'll switch around to the opposite side. So, reaching that left foot up to the sky this time. Coming into our side angle. So like I said, options, options. Easy angle, extended angle. Breathing here. Building strength. If you're ready to work towards that bind, everybody's going to be in a different place at a different time. So I'll just kind of go through all of them, depending upon where you're going to stay. Maybe you're going to be in that bind for a few breaths. Maybe you can bring that foot up and then reach those toes up towards the ceiling. Breathing, standing tall. It's a balance. And when you've had enough, back you go into that easy angles where we all meet. Getting ready to transition to our lunge. So, pivoting on that toe, ball of the foot into your lunge. Once again, if you need to bring the knee down, go for it. If you want to do the revolved portion of this with the knee down, if you're not going into the revolved bird of paradise, that's fine too. So that would look like this, bringing the hands to the heart, twisting, hooking that elbow, and I'm actually going to turn around so you can see this better for this way. So, turning, bring those hands to heart center, hook that elbow, really try to keep those hands at heart center. And that would look like this. Now, maybe you wanted to go into that bind. So, you're going to grab those hands together, or maybe using a strap. Maybe going into the revolved bird of paradise. Lots of options. You can always hit pause on this video if you want to workshop something. But if this is not your cup of tea and you've had enough, let's go into our final vinyasa. Or if you need a rest, go right into your child's pose. I have already practiced today, so I'm feeling tired, but I'll do one more vinyasa. And that child's pose. You know, child's pose is a resting pose, but you also can get some benefits from it. It is an active pose as well. There's stuff going on. Getting some stretch. Especially if you're keeping those arms lifted off the mat. Even our resting poses in yoga are active poses, except for Shavasana. Downward facing dog is a resting pose. All right. So, our next stop is coming to standing. You might need a strap, so you might want to grab that. We're going to work on some balancing. Going through, let's see, what's the full name? Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, A and B, and then we'll go into our standing dancer pose. All right, so if you need that strap because you know that your fingers are not going to reach your toes like this, grab that strap and wrap it around the ball of your foot. So like I said, we're going to go into A first, which is the leg extended outward. So you might want to have your left hand on your left hip for balance, grabbing those toes of the right fingers and extending. If you want to challenge your balance even more, you can always bring the hand out to the side in any mudra that you'd like. And just breathe, finding a place to gaze. We're going to open it up into B. So swinging that leg out to the side. Traditionally, the gaze also changes to the opposite direction. Breathing. And then transitioning, holding onto the top of the foot, reaching up high for dancer, and then coming parallel with the earth as best as you can. Reaching out, it's a balance. So once again, if you need to come out, reposition, it's a quad stretch. I can show you what it looks like from the side. Looks different for everybody. Depends upon your personal flexibility today. So as many breaths as you can get in that, and then gracefully releasing. Tadasana. Letting go. Oh, it can be a challenge. I know today when I'm recording this, it's 98 degrees. And even with the air conditioning on, it's hot in here. So, and like I said, I'm a little tired already. So this has been a challenging practice for even me right now. So if you feel a little bit tired, don't feel bad. All right, let's do the other side. Grabbing onto those big toes, extending out. Find that place to gaze. Nice and strong, you've got this. It's always good to push yourself a little bit as long as you don't feel pain and you're not always pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion and discomfort. Just enough, go to your edge. And when you're ready, transitioning into hand to big toe pose B. Keep breathing. our dancer. It's a balance. Keep finding that place to gaze. It really helps. And breathe. Lift that knee up. One more breath and release. Oh, my quads are tight, so that one's a challenge for me too. All right. We've come to the middle of practice. We're right in the thick of it. So it's always a good time for an inversion. So if you would like to go to a wall, practice your headstand, handstand, if that is something that you are comfortable with, have worked with a teacher in person with, I encourage you then to have the wall be your helper. If it's something you have not done before and you don't have anyone with you, let's just go through Prasarita Padottanasana, where we'll stand with the legs nice and wide. The toes can be pigeon-toed or straight ahead. Hands on the hips, opening up that chest and folding forward. This is still an inversion because the head is below the heart. Just letting things hang out. Try to put a little bit more weight in the balls of the feet so that you really are folding forward. Maybe if you bring those feet a little bit wider, maybe your head could even touch the ground. Or maybe bring a block. Sometimes it just feels nice to feel that slight bit of pressure. Now don't put a ton of weight on your head, but just to feel that connection to the earth can be really grounding, secure, feel that nice, like I said, yeah, it's just secure, safe feeling. One more breath. If you're in your headstand, great job. And we'll come on up, heel toe, those feet together maybe to help you up. Hands on the hips, and coming all the way up. All right. Okay, so let's go into our seated postures. So we will come into Dandasana. And with those legs outstretched straight in front of you, hands on either side of those hips, nice and tall. Shoulders are back. Getting ready for our seated forward fold, reaching the arms up. And hinging at the hips, coming forward. So, in this forward fold, maybe you want to kind of rock side to side, get that flesh out from underneath so those sit bones can really ground down into the earth. And then allowing the breath to let your chest come closer to those legs. Try not to round too much. We all round a little bit. I know I am. We all want to get close to those legs, right? So we're just like hugging close in, but that's not the point of this pose. So if you're up tall, that's okay if you feel a stretch in the back of those legs. Keep breathing. Breath and release, coming up. Let's go into a seated twist. So let's bring that right leg over the left. You can keep the left leg straight or you can swing that left leg around and we'll twist. So right arm up in the air and you can use your right leg kind of as a way to help you get around, but don't use it too much. Try to make most of the twist come from your core, from your, your middle of your body should be doing most of the work. If you can maybe grab onto your heel for a little bind, that's cool. Any other binds that you know? Gazing over that right shoulder. Really roll that right shoulder back. Nice massage to your internal organs. As you breathe in, bringing more space to get you deeper. One more breath. Releasing out of that twist, maybe a little counter twist. And you can do the yoga circus ride, or you can bring the legs straight out, or you can simply just switch legs. Whatever feels good. Reaching the right arm up, coming across for that twist. Once again, doing whatever binds or anything that's in your practice. You could just bring the hand behind the back. I'll do that for this side. Gives you some support. You still should be rolling that left shoulder back, gazing towards the back of the room, whatever the back of the room is for you, and breathe. One more deep breath. And once again, coming around a little counter twist just to get nice and even. And from here, you can bring that leg back around, and we're going to go into our sleeping pigeon. Now, you can just stay down here if you're comfortable, just kind of weirdly inching your way into the pose. I mean, I know I can by just swinging my left leg back, and then I come up into my pigeon pose. If you want to take this from downward facing dog and then stretching your right leg up to the sky and bringing it forward, please go ahead and do that. And like I said, it's hot out there. We're probably all working really hard on summer projects and things like that, so I made you work hard enough, I think, in the beginning. So let's just go right into our sleeping pigeon and just feel that stretch happening just from letting go, right? So no pushing into this. If you need to bring a block or a blanket underneath to bring the earth up to you if the groins are really far from the mat, just take a moment and do that. Take your time. You can always hit pause. Just sink in. One more deep breath, enjoying this. And then slowly, carefully coming up, pressing into the mat. We can inch that heel toe, that leg over. And then we're going to go into a really fun pose. Couch pose. So we're kind of on our hands and knees. Let's just come over onto the right side of the body. And I love the name of this pose because you really can do it on your couch. I think it's great. Wow your husband or wife. So, this looks pretty relaxing, right? So take your head in your hand and just kind of, it's a little bit of a balance on the right side. Now here comes the fun part. You know how we did that extended hand to big toe pose before. So maybe you want to grab that strap if you know your fingertips can't reach your toes. If they can, bring that left leg to you and then extend. It's a little bit of a reclining balance, but you can watch TV and do it. I love that, right? Big stretch, a little balance, and breathe. Should be warmed up from all the stuff we did before, so shouldn't be too tough, especially if you're just utilizing that strap. You know, we're just hanging out. One more deep breath. And release. Let's stretch back into downward facing dog just to get nice and even. And then we'll do those two poses on the opposite side. So I'm going to switch around. All right, so I think we're lifting our left leg up to the sky. Keep me honest, if it's not right, you do whichever side you haven't done. And then we'll come down into our sleeping pigeon. Once again, any modifications, any props you need, take the time to make it feel right. Make it feel good. You should feel a little stretch. Obviously, there's going to be a little something happening, but never any pain. I have my hands just kind of stacked to bring my third eye down onto. You could bring your forehead down to the mat if you want to just stretch your hands forward. If you can't bring your head that far forward, you can also make your hands into fists and bring your third eye down to the fists. One more breath, guys. All right, and then carefully pressing into those hands to help you get up and heel toe that left foot over. And then I'm just going to come down. Opposite side for our couch pose. Hopefully you can still see me. And if you need that strap, grabbing a strap. It's a little balance. It's a little stretch. It's a lot of fun. And breathe. And relax. And smile. One more deep breath. And releasing down. We'll come onto the back. We're almost there, guys. I'm gonna have a block near me. Just a couple more poses until Shavasana. So let's go into our fish pose. So we'll use the arms to help us get up. Come on to the top of the head. If the top of the head does not reach the earth, bring that block or that blanket to help it. And those heels should be digging into the mat. Mine, of course, are falling off the mat, but I'm not adjusting that now. I can dig into the wood floor, no problem. Popping that chest up, opening up the heart and the throat. You know, I've said it before, this pose is good for immunity. And we all need a little extra bit of immunity all the time now, right? You can always make this a more restorative pose, or, you know, just a less, not muscular. If you want to roll up a blanket maybe and put it underneath. One more breath. And then using your arms to help get that neck down. I'm going to take legs up the wall. You can take shoulder stand if you know it. When I take legs up the wall, I typically am too lazy to move to the wall, so I use a block. You can go to the wall, literally, if you would like. I'm going to stick this block underneath and let my legs just float up. During this time we've had at home, I've really been exploring my practice pretty deeply, and it's actually been, you know, a blessing. I mean, it's hard, you know, I don't want to belittle the terrible things some people have gone through, but I've been lucky enough and, you know, made sacrifices enough. I'm just staying at home. Of course, I know some people are making much more sacrifice, but I'm not wasting this time. And I found, like I said, I practice so deeply. At the end of practice, I love taking this pose. It just feels so good to me, so restorative when I've worked so hard. And you know, it's not too late if you feel like you want to take something, your yoga practice or anything else, to the next level, and you think, man, I wasted this time. Well, I think there's still a lot of time left in this time of not being able to maybe do everything that we normally do outside the home. And even if we could, why not dive in? Why not? When else? If not now, when? Let's take one more breath. And release. Bring those legs down, whether you're in shoulder stand, legs up the wall, at the wall. If you're at the wall and you're enjoying, please, by all means, you can stay in legs up the wall for the duration of the practice. We're just going into Shavasana now. If you've had enough, move away from the wall. And we will take our final pose, our corpse pose, Shavasana. At the end of our practice, you know, we're shedding what we don't need. So we're leaving this corpse behind of all this stuff that no longer serves us. And then we're born again. So really let it go. If you struggled, it's fine. You were working, you did something. If it was awesome and you felt so strong and you could have done more, great. It really doesn't matter. It's just that you're giving your all in the moment. You're being honest, living your truth. Every day is different. And the repetition, the practice upon the practice upon the practice as a whole is what's going to make a difference. So that's why we keep showing up, why we don't judge each individual practice. It is what it is, as long as you did your best. Hopefully you've been really relaxing deeply while I've been babbling on. Letting the feet flop open. The hands just relax, so the fingertips are probably curling a little bit because you're not forcing the fingers to be doing anything in particular. And The chest is open. Sinking into your mat. Relaxed awareness. So in this state, total relaxation, but not sleepiness. Giving thanks for what your body has been able to do for you today. And slowly coming back into a more active state as we wiggle our fingers and toes. Inviting deeper breaths. And then if you wish, you can roll onto your right side or just come up into your seated position. You can use a free hand to help you get up. All right. So back where we started. I'll end our practice with some chanting like I have before. One of my favorite chants lately has been Loka Samasta Sukhinu Bhavantu, which I believe I did one of these other videos. I'll chant it to a little different style today. One of my favorite little tunes that I've heard. The chant itself actually means, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. And an additional part to that, which I didn't always know, was that, and may my thoughts, words, and actions contribute in some way to that freedom, that happiness. And I think that is absolutely beautiful, and I hope that all of you can find a way to do that. So with that, maybe closing the eyes and just listening. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti. Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. If you'd like, you can join in a closing Om, taking a great inhale. Om. light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.